The Canadian Mental Health Association defines anxiety as a mental illness that seriously impacts our lives and how we think, feel and act. For example, they explain that a panic attack, which is a type of anxiety episode, is a feeling of sudden and intense fear that will last for a short period of time. With that said, there are certain types of foods and drinks that can trigger or contribute to anxiety and depression. Below you will find the top foods to avoid if you have anxiety. Caffeine. Most people are aware that caffeine is mostly present in coffee, energy drinks, teas, and chocolate. Dietitians of Canada explains that caffeine excites the nervous system and has the ability to improve alertness for short periods of time. Keeping that in mind, the Canadian Mental Health Association states that when someone is suffering from anxiety, specifically panic attacks, they can experience a racing heart and shortness of breath. Alcohol. The American Addiction Centers explain that some individuals will resort to alcohol consumption in order to try and deal with anxiety. People might assume, because alcohol is a depressant and often has a sedative effect on people, it could be used to unwind. But the National Center for Biotechnology Information explains that using alcohol to help reduce anxiety will often backfire on people. In fact, they also mention that prolonged alcohol consumption can actually cause anxiety. Sugar. According to Dr. William Cole, Senior Clinic Director of Cole Natural Health Center's, current research has found that high levels of serotonin can make anxiety worse. Sugar is one of the main sources that can raise levels of serotonin. A study that is published in the journal JAMA Psychiatry was conducted to see if there was an association between serotonin synthesis and social anxiety disorder. Trans fats. Trans fat, which is also known as hydrogenated fat, is considered one of the worst foods for your diet, but what many don't know is it's also bad for your moods. According to a study published on PLOS, trans fat is associated with an increased risk of depression. Spanish researchers followed over 12,000 Spanish university graduates who had no depression symptoms, for a total of 6 years. They monitored their intakes of various types of fat and their occurrence of depression. Gluten. Celiac disease, which is an immune-mediated disease dependent on gluten, was reported to be associated with depression and other related mood disorders. Another study mentioned on PubMed found that the elderly population that was gluten-sensitive were twice as likely to be diagnosed with depression, when they were compared to the controlled group.